Kings and queens and everyone in between, my name is JJ and welcome to ScinKraft. So a couple of days ago, I uploaded my deep dive into radio frequency as well as the MimiSilk Vera RF Sculpt device. And that video got a lot of comments and a lot of questions pertaining to not only radio frequency, but the Vera device itself. And one of the most consistent comments were surrounding how to properly use the Vera, as it is a new device. So today is going to be a demo all about how to properly use the Vera device on different quadrants of the face. And I'm going to be breaking down how I like to use it on my forehead, my cheeks, my jawline, and my submental. So if you're looking for a deep dive all about radio frequency energy, how it interacts with your skin on a cellular level, or a deep dive all about the MimiSilk Vera RF Sculpt device, please see my previous video for all of that information. It's a very thorough 16-minute video all about bipolar radio frequency, monopolar radio frequency, as well as multipolar radio frequency. We broke down all the variances and we did a full deep dive in the MimiSilk Vera RF Sculpt. We went over the specs, power output, the revolutionary design, and what sets this device apart from other at-home radio frequency devices. I'll make sure to link it above and in the description below as well. But today's video is going to be all about how to properly use this device and how I like to use it throughout my treatment. So without further ado, let's welcome Miss Vera to the stage. Okay, so I already have the device plugged in, so it's ready to power on, and then we're going to go ahead and select our power settings. So as you can see here, right below the treatment head, we have two buttons. The first button is going to be how you're going to power the device on and turn it off. And the second button is going to be how you select your power output, and there's going to be 3 different levels. As I explained in the radio frequency and Vera deep dive video, this device does not require any treatment gel whatsoever. So you really don't need anything to get started other than making sure you're treating on a clean surface. So I already hopped out of the shower. Now you can put a lightweight serum on. I don't advise using any type of heavy occlusive creams, however. For this demonstration, I went ahead and put on a hyaluronic acid serum, so we're just going to be treating over that. So it is okay to put a lightweight moisturizer on. You don't have to treat over completely dry skin, but I would avoid trying to put on any heavy moisturizers. Now today we're going to be treating the submental, the jaw, the sides of the face, the cheeks, the temples, the forehead, and I might go ahead and get into the top of my lids as well. But we do want to make sure to stay on bone when you're treating around the ocular area. And as I mentioned, there are 3 different power settings, and I'm going to be using all 3 different power settings when I'm treating throughout the different quadrants of my face, and I'm going to explain why and explain how momentarily. But before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and get my hair out of my face, and then we'll get started. This is a great look, don't you think? Okay, so I like to start from the bottom up typically with my devices, especially with radio frequency. I'm going to go ahead and treat on the highest setting for the lower facial areas just because there's a lot more fatty tissue and tissue in general, and that area can handle it. As I slowly work my way up my face, I'm going to start reducing the power setting, especially when we get on areas that are thinner or on bone. Those areas are usually around the eyes, the temples, and the forehead. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and power on the device. And then we're going to go ahead and select the 3rd power setting, which is the highest power setting. It's going to automatically start out on the lowest power setting, and that's indicated by the lights on the device. However, after treatment, if you keep your device plugged in, the next time you go to use it, it does have a memory save feature, and when you turn it on, it'll be automatically set at the last setting that you used. I don't necessarily recommend keeping your device plugged in. It's best to go ahead and clean it and store it until your next use. Okay, so now that I've selected the highest power setting, we're going to go ahead and get started on the submental area. When you're ready, you're going to take your device, come in contact with the area you intend to treat, press it against the skin with slightly firm pressure just to ensure that all 4 prongs are properly coming in contact with your skin. The device will automatically start emitting radio frequency into the skin. You'll feel a mild, slight warm sensation, and that will slowly build up over time until you hear the beep sound off. Once you hear the beep sound off, you know it's time to move to the next treatment area. So as mentioned in the radio frequency and Vera deep dive video, this device uses a stamping method to get through the treatment. So there's no gliding, pushing, or pulling. So treatment is really very simple. Once you adhere the device to the skin, it only takes a few seconds for the radio frequency to be fully emitted into the skin. You'll hear the beep sound off, and then you can go ahead and move to the next area. So for instance, if I started here on my jaw, after the beep sound off, I can go ahead and move this right to the edge of where the device just was. You don't need to overlap with this device, although if you're treating on the lowest setting, it wouldn't hurt to do so, but if you're treating on medium or high, it's really not necessary to overlap the aperture of the radio frequency device to get thorough coverage. Now luckily this device does feature a biofeedback module, so it won't be able to overstimulate the skin to a degree that's unsafe. In other words, it won't allow the surface of your skin to exceed 47 degrees Celsius. This is going to ensure that you don't get any hot spots or potential burns. And with all of that out of the way, let's get started. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the back of my jaw and the submental area, and we're slowly gonna work our way inward and make sure that we're getting thorough coverage for the entire submental, and then we're also gonna go ahead and treat the left side. Okay, here we go. And now I know I can go ahead and move to the next section. Okay, so that was pretty warm, but nothing I can't handle. One thing you're gonna notice is that when treating from spot to spot, it may take 6 seconds to treat this area, and it may take 4 seconds to treat this area. And that's because it's reading the temperature feedback in real time. It's trying to get it to an optimal temperature for collagen induction, but not go any further than that. And there's different distances between the surface of your skin and your dermis throughout the different areas that you're treating. So not every single pulse is gonna take as long as the next. That's pretty cool technology. Okay, so now that I'm gonna be treating directly on bone, I'm gonna go ahead and lower the power setting to the second power setting, or AKA medium. Whenever you're treating directly on bone, there is a shorter distance that the energy has to travel, so it might be a little spicier, so do yourself a favor and start low and build your way up until you hit a tolerance level. Okay, so my entire right side of my submental is done, as well as right under the jawline. You can see I am getting a little red, but nothing crazy. That's just from the heat. It's not causing any photosensitivity. It's just deep thermal heating. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over and do the left side of my submental and jawline now. So ramping the power back up to high. Whew, okay, so this area was a little more spicy for whatever reason. I can certainly go ahead and lower the power setting just for comfort. The Vera is no joke. It's very powerful. It's a lot stronger than some of my other radiofrequency devices. They don't get nearly as warm, so I can only imagine the kind of benefits I'm going to be receiving from this device. There's going to be a lot more collagen induction, and I really hope it's going to be able to retract and tighten my skin the way that I know it can. I mean, this device is definitely getting my subdermal levels to optimal collagen-inducing temperatures. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and reduce the energy back down to medium because I'm gonna treat directly on bone. Okay, so my submental and the under portion of my jawline is complete. So I'm gonna go ahead and move up to the sides of my face, my cheeks, temples, and forehead. So now that I'm treating the sides of my jaw, I'm gonna go ahead and keep it at a medium power setting because I'm still gonna be treating on bone. Okay, so I went ahead and started on the back of the jaw. I worked my way down all the way to the chin for my first row, and then I went ahead and went up one length above that row and worked my way all the way back up to the back of the ear. And then I just came up the top of the temple and came all the way back under the eye, around the medial cheek area, and then I went ahead and treated over my nasolabial fold, and then that completes the right side of your face. So we're gonna go ahead and do an identical service on the left side. Okay, and now the left side of my mid and lower face is done as well. So now we're gonna go ahead and do the tops of the temples and the entire forehead. I'm also gonna do a little bit above my lip in the middle of my chin, just for good measure. So let's go ahead and get started with the top of the right temple. Okay, and now my full forehead is done. It's important to note that the forehead has very thin skin and it's directly on bone, so I advise using the first power setting. That's exactly what I use. I don't want too much heat to accumulate in that area, but I want enough to build a little bit of collagen. You'll also notice that as I was working my way up, I did about 3 different rows and then moved over and created another 3 separate stamps. I did that because I wanted to work the entire forehead, but I also wanted to ensure I got about 1/4 to 1/2 inch behind the hairline just to give a little extra lift. So now I want to go ahead and do just a couple stamps over my upper lip as well as the chin. I'm probably going to go ahead and start out on the lowest power setting because that's going to be directly over my teeth and I want to maintain a comfortable treatment. Okay, and that's gonna complete a full face treatment. If you wanna take it a little further though, I can show you a technique that I've developed to do the upper lids. Now, it's very important to make sure that anytime you're doing any radio frequency around an ocular area, this also includes laser, you wanna make sure that you're treating on bone. You never wanna treat over soft tissue. So to do your upper lids and give a little elevation right over that area, you're gonna go ahead and take your finger and press and slightly lift the area. Then on the lowest power setting, you're gonna take your Vera and go directly over the upper lid, making sure that when you're coming in contact, you're coming in contact with bone. Just like that. And now just for the ergonomics of things, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the Vera upside down so I can go ahead and do the rest of the upper lid. and your upper lid is done. It really only takes about 3 stamps to get the full diameter of the upper lid. It'll be well worth it for people who have hooded eyes or have laxity in that area. I myself have asymmetrical laxity from one eyelid to the next. This eyelid seems to be nice and tight, but this one's giving me a little bit of issue. But I'm still gonna go ahead and treat both of them. But one thing I do like to do when treating the upper lids is to combat the asymmetry. Once I've done each lid, I'll go ahead and do 3 more pulses over my right lid. Okay, and now just to even things out a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and retreat my upper right lid. Okay, and that's gonna complete a full face treatment using the brand new MimiSilk Vera RF Sculpt. So now at this time, right after treatment, you do want to resupplement moisture and nutrients back into the skin. Radiofrequency is attracted to water content within the skin, so some people may notice they get a little dry post-treatment. The most ideal scenario is to use the brand new PDRN mats from MimiSilk. They were specifically designed for post-Vera and post-iris treatments. I did an entire deep dive on those masks and really broke down the ingredient deck, so if you guys are interested in that, I'll link the video above and below as well. However, if you don't have a PDRN mask handy, you can go ahead and put a little hyaluronic acid serum on, your favorite moisturizer, and of course, if it's daytime, use your sunblock. Now, in the radiofrequency and Vera deep dive video that I just posted, you guys asked a lot of questions pertaining how you should alternate using the iris laser as well as the Vera. I will reiterate that the Vera is using radiofrequency technology to help tighten, tone, and sculpt the skin, whereas the 1450 nanometer fractional iris laser is using diode energy to help emit thousands and thousands of little microscopic beams of laser light into the skin to help break down the epidermis to facilitate resurfacing, collagen remodeling, and an overall toned appearance. So these devices are doing 2 very different things. Now, with that being said, how you can incorporate both of these devices in your weekly routine is, as an example, you could use the Vera on a Monday evening and then use the iris on a Tuesday, giving yourself a break on Wednesday, and then just repeating that cycle until you fulfilled your treatment cycle entirely. Now, typically a treatment cycle will look like 8 weeks on and 4 weeks off. It's important to give your skin rest in between to allow collagen to fully develop. It's important to rest in between your treatments so not to overstimulate the skin, and it's important to observe your off cycle so that you can allow all of your collagen and elastin to fully come to fruition. Much like going to the gym, you don't want to repeatedly break down the muscle, you want to allow it to build up to its fullest potential. One thing I would not do is use the Vera and the iris in the same day. So I would use the Vera one evening, the iris the next, or the Vera one evening, a rest day on the following day, and then the day after you could use the iris. It's really going to be all up to you and your skin's constitution. So that's gonna do it for today's demo video, but stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed if you wanna see my results video. You can typically start to see results within the 1st to 2nd week as the radiofrequency energy starts to recondition and shrink wrap your existing elastin and your existing collagen fibers, but it will also be initiating new collagen and elastin for the future, and that can take up to about 12 weeks to fully come into its adulthood. So make sure you're following along if this journey is gonna be interesting for you. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.